KBBT is brought to you by Motor Guide, Eford Outdoors, Ray's Eyewear, Amped Outdoors, Kayak Angler Solutions, and Tourney Tag.
Oh my God, dude. Look at the Let's go! Let's go! Baby! So, without further ado, the KBBT champion, the Rodney Kennan Award winner, goes to Mr. Conrad Benetti. Conrad Benetti wins the championship at the last hour. He takes out Matt Frentress 97 inches to 95 and a quarter inches. Unbelievable. The last best did it. Conrad. Yeah. Well, here's what we're going to do, man. We're going to go ahead and announce the winner here. And we're going to talk to both of you about your days as it goes on. But the second award winner here, KBBT champion, the Rodney Kennan Award winner. The 128 angler bracket in May came down to Jeremy Baker and Doug Wilson. And the winner, taking home the trophy and the cash, is going to be Mr. Doug Wilson. Is the KBBT Rodney Award winner. Doug Wilson, you win, my friend, 101.25 inches to Jeremy's 84 inches. KBBT National Championship is Marcus Coates. Marcus Coates wins the championship. Marcus Daniel Bryan Coates wins with 90 and a quarter inches. National Qualifier champion is going to be out of Texas. It's going to be Mr. Jason the Soup Campbell. Wins it all! Wins it all, my friend. Soup, you did it, my friend. Congratulations, Jason. You are the champion. The champion of KBBT National Qualifier.
What is up, everybody? Good evening. Good happy Friday to everybody. How are y'all doing?
Good afternoon, everybody. TGIF, and that means it is Tournament Saturday. Otherwise, we wouldn't be on here bothering y'all folks.
It is. Dude, we are almost 1 week away from the start of the National Championship.
Dun.
Yeah. Well, hello, Lisa. How are you?
I'm great. It's Friday, so.
Yeah. We've got one last video to put into that championship video, and that's going to be tomorrow. We've got the last qualifier, championship going on between Mr. Jim Levere and Jason Denise. Dude, Texas versus Florida. I've talked to Jason today. Man, listen, he's at Bass Pro Shop. He was going on his way to Bass Pro Shops to make sure he had his very last tackle. He's tying everything. He's ready to go, man. He is so super stoked for this, man. He wants this one. He definitely wants this one. Both of them want it. Both of them want it for sure. But this is gonna be fun.
I mean, dude, you talk about battle that we've seen before. I mean, Texas and Florida bring the heat. We all know that. We've seen Texas and Florida, Florida and Michigan. Texas and Florida has been in all of them, and it's insane to watch what these guys can do. But I mean, let's not beat around the bush either. Jim's been a stick through this entire thing. He's always posted a consecutively high top 3 bag, if I'm not mistaken, each and every single week. Jason Denise started out a little shady and then turned into one of the most consistent anglers we've got here at the very end. You know, consistent when it matters. It would be both these guys are facing rough conditions tomorrow. I think Florida's going to have 20 to 30 mile per hour winds. Jim Levere's going to have 17 to 20 with gusts up to 25. These guys, the fish that come out of the gate tomorrow are going to be well earned, and it's both spectrums of the board. So Jim gets to watch Jason fish for an hour.
Yeah.
And then Jason gets to watch Jim finish the hour.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was talking to Jason. Jason's going to have some cell phone coverage issues, so I don't know if Jason's going to be able to put up, fish on the board early on the scoreboard. So, that's going to be kind of difficult to see what he's doing. So you just really don't know. I don't know if that's an advantage or disadvantage, but these guys, Jim's not going to be able to see what Jason's doing. So that could get in your head because you just don't know. To me, I like, to try to put the fish on the board early and in a big number, and then that will get in your head even more. So I don't know, man. It could be to Jim's advantage. It could be to Jim's advantage that he's not seeing the board and he just does his thing and not worry about it.
Well, I mean, that's another thing too. I mean, you got to think Jason's going to have to sit there and sweat it off because that last hour that Jim does get to fish, Jason can't see what's going on that board. So he's just going to have to sit there and sweat it out, whether he's, what he's got at the time. Man, it's going to come down to the final fish in this thing. Is Jim going to get a last minute call? Is Jason going to be able to throw something up here at the last minute before the standings go down? I can't wait to judge this thing. I mean, it's going to be ecstatic. And man, you talk about a historic tale of 2 of the greatest bass factories in the country going at it. Dude, this thing, it could potentially be, 100 to 101. You never know what's going to happen.
Here we go. Blake Knight. Greg, what do you know about putting fish on the board early? Blake Knight, what do you know about fishing a tournament? You're scared to come and fish KBBT? Can't even fish national championship? Scared, man. I understand. You don't want to maybe lose a bet with your long hair, maybe hair versus hair bet. Let's see what happens.
Greg, you have to have hair to bet hair.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Old Blake Knight talking trash. Doesn't even fish. Do you even fish, bro? Do you even fish?
Greg Nozar, # Pond Warrior.
Okay. I hear you, man. I hear you. Lisa, Florida versus Texas. You're a proud Texan. Oh. And I'm sure it's been fun watching your fellow compadres compete and do well. Talk about the little rivalry we got going on in KBBT, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so excited for both of them. I can't imagine how excited that they are to be fishing this event tomorrow. But I'm Texas all the way. I mean, obviously. But even though what? I see you, Marcus. Even though Jim is a rival, I'm all for Texas. I mean, I wish the best of luck for them both, and I hope they're both safe on the water, and I hope they have an awesome day fishing. Obviously, I want Texas to come out on top.
Yeah, man. Let's get our competitors on the line here. Mr. Jim Levere and Jason Denise is here. Man, here we go, guys. You've battled through the bracket, unlike Blake Knight. And, gone to this level. Blake Knight would have no idea what it means to be at this level at all. Not even close. He thinks his little top tens in his little, East Texas, little club, it means something to anybody. But from a national level, no one's ever even heard of Blake Knight. But we've heard of you guys, Jason and Jim. How are you guys doing? Man, so good to see you guys.
Doing good. Good to see you guys.
Yeah, man. Listen, it's going to be on, man. Texas versus Florida. You guys have you gone through, the bracket, man, and done a very good job doing so. Man, I tell you, it's you guys are going to be facing some serious weather tomorrow. And talk about your journey, man. Talk about your journey to get here. Jim, let's start with you, man. I've fished with you, and I see how you are. You're a tactician. You're a very patient angler. You are very well known in Texas for sure. And talk about man, tomorrow and how you got here, man.
Well, tomorrow, I'll tell you, I always have a game plan. I just talked to Derek. He called to see how I was doing. And he asked me if I was nervous. I said, nope, tomorrow is going to be what it's going to be. I had to pick a lake. I've now picked my lake. And the last thing was thinking through my head, visualize my game plan. What spots am I going to hit? And once that's set, tomorrow's just go do my job. Tomorrow's just go, do like you said, think tactically. Go figure out if I can catch the fish, figure out how to catch the fish, and if I can, just go catch them, just go execute.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jim, would you consider yourself more of a power fisherman, or are you more finesse?
So Mark says I figured out how to take a finesse bait and power fish it. So
there's a lot of truth to that.
So my double fluke rig is taking a finesse rig and power fishing it. And so I would say I'm more, I like big baits. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a power fisherman.
Yeah.
Because when you think of a power fisherman, you think of guys fishing jig and pig and a spinner bait. And that's not what I fish. I mean, I normally fish, a wacky worm, a double fluke rig. I fish a drop shot a lot. Although I'm casting it, I'm not fishing it vertically. But I'm fishing it very slow, very methodically. So I'm kind of a hybrid would probably be the better way to describe the way I fish. But I like big baits.
But can you fish a wacky jig underneath the dock?
Oh my God.
That's a Marcus thing.
So,
look, man, don't answer. Don't even.
Marcus
man, all right, so we're gonna move on to the next set of questions.
On a wacky jig, flipping wacky jigs under docks.
Let me say this about docks. If I have to resort to fishing docks, I'm in trouble.
That's true. That's
true. Me and docks don't mix.
There was a comment in here that I completely agree with, Jim. It's 2021. Jig and pig expired in 75.
Next to the jig and pig and the banjo minnow all expired.
Hey, don't be hating on the banjo minnow now. I've been known to put a banjo minnow on a wacky jig a time or two.
Oh my God, Jim, let me ask you questions. I mean, Jason, we're gonna get to you in here in a second, but let me ask you a question. Seriously, speaking of that, kind of like going back in the day, right? I'm sure you've been fishing a very long time, as well as me and several others on here. Let me ask you a question. So the popular lures back when we fished, let's say, in the 80s or whatever, those particular lures caught so many fish, right? So many fish. And why do you think that people have forgotten to even throw these things, and they're just more worried about the new technology like the jackhammer? The jackhammer is probably the most innovative, most game changing, and I hate the word game changer because everybody uses game changer, but game changing bait that's ever come along, right? It's just the end all. It was won more tournaments here recently than any other bait. But why do you think those old baits just don't work anymore? People don't fish them anymore.
Oh, I totally disagree with. Don't get mad at me, Greg, but I totally disagree with the comment that they don't work anymore. In fact, if you get Derek Miller on here later, he'll tell you that just a few days ago I was telling him I prefer to fish the old baits than the new baits. They don't work anymore because people don't throw them anymore.
That's true.
All right.
True.
I mean, think about a jackhammer. I always divide the water column into either 2 or 3 vertically. If it's 10 foot or less, you could basically divide it in 2. If it's more than that, divide it in 3. So a jackhammer and a spinnerbait fish the same area of the column of water. People just don't throw a spinnerbait anymore. They want to throw a jackhammer, right? People used to rip rattle traps through grass. Now they rip a jackhammer through grass.
Right.
Those old baits still work. People just don't throw them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I can agree with that for sure. I mean, say that again, Jason.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, gosh, there's so many different baits that, that I used to have in my tackle box. It's just kind of like, man, I wouldn't even think twice about throwing that right now. I mean,
it's really hard to put the magazine down. It's really
It
hard
is.
not to go buy the latest and greatest because you see
It is.
people catching it.
The real question here is Jim Levere drinking a beer?
I worked all day. I helped the guy install a trolling motor on a kayak, and then I sold all the electronics out of my boat. So I just finished installing all of that, and now, yes, I'm having a beer.
There you go, man.
God bless Texas. It's going to be a good evening. We're an
stuff.
hour away from his bedtime. He's getting lit. Let's go.
Jason Campbell just asked me if I'm nervous, and I went, not a lick. I'm not worried about tomorrow at all. It's going to be what it's going to be.
It's going to be what it's going to be. Exactly. Jason Denise, man, congratulations on your championship appearance as well, man. We talked today, and man, you're ready, dude. I mean, in terms of being focused and zeroed in, man. I mean, you're kind of taking this to another level, man. You want this one, don't you?
Oh yeah. Hey, you know who I hang out with all the time. He's never going to let me live it down.
Conrad's pushing this one on you, isn't he? You can't, you can't have a better mentor. I mean, the guy is, he's solid, man. I mean, he's there to push you and push you hard, and he's got a different mentality, man. He's trying to help install that mentality in you, man. But you're out there. I mean, you're your own man. You're gonna be fishing alone. You're not gonna be fishing. He's not gonna be throwing the bait for you. But talk about your strategy tomorrow, man. I mean, hopefully we'll be able to see it a little bit. If not, we understand. But the area that you're fishing and the lake that you're fishing tomorrow, man, it can compete with anybody in the country. There's no doubt about it, man. But with that, the wind's coming up, man. I've been on that lake when the wind's coming up, man. It's not fun.
He's going to be throwing gotcha. He's going to be throwing gotcha plugs and tuna jigs.
Trolling big skirts.
I hear it. Hey, Robert Brown wants to know, both of you, to answer this. Who up until this point made you guys the most nervous to get you here? What was the matchup that made you the most nervous?
Robert Brown.
There you go.
Robert Brown. Okay, I've seen him talk on the net. I have a lot of respect for the guy. He handles himself very well. He has a very good reputation. And if you're going to beat somebody, you want to beat somebody good. Robert Brown.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about you, Jason?
I have to say, Caleb Helbig.
Yeah, that was a big win, man. Yeah, Caleb's been on a hot streak, man. It's he's in terms of I think he's a 5 seed in the championship. But I mean, or 4 or 5 seed, one of the two. But he's been on a hot streak, and you're right, man. He's a tough out, and you were able to accomplish that. So that's a good answer. Jason, let's talk a little bit about yourself, man. Let's talk about your background. What got you into fishing? Let people know who you are, man. And how'd you get? I mean, it sounds like you're from New York, that area, and then how in the world did you get down to Florida? And and how the heck did you get to know Conrad Benetti, and why?
Well,
big emphasis on why.
I'm still wondering that myself. I grew up in New York. My uncle was an old-time clammer and just a Long Island Bay man out there, making his living out there. Used to watch me when I was a kid and took me out on the boat and just hooked me ever since. I was captain of a charter boat for 21 years until I moved down to Florida. And then I just took little odd jobs down here because I wanted to watch my kids grow up a little bit. And
right,
being on the water, I missed too much.
Yeah.
I wound up meeting Conrad at work. Found out we liked to fish, and we just started hanging out.
Gotcha. So you're more of a saltwater guy, though, right? You're just kind of getting into this bass game competitively here pretty recently, right?
Within the past year.
Wow, within the past year, and I mean, dude, you know, you're starting to make a name for yourself, man. I mean, that's pretty strong.
Thank you.
Being able to do what you're doing, as I said, I mean, you're starting to figure out the waters there. It's different fishing, man. I mean, Florida fishing, I have found, again, I mean, my limited experience in Florida, man, it could be really, really good or really, really bad. You know what I mean? There's kind of no in between, you got some anglers that are pre-fishing right now for the national championship. We're going to get into this, but pre-fishing right now for the national championship, man, they're struggling down there. But some of you guys just find these freaking holes and these fish, man, like it's no tomorrow, man. And again, you're learning from some of the best down there. And what do you think? You've seen enough fishing. What do you think the winds are going to do to you tomorrow, man? And how is it going to affect your fishing?
Honestly, I really don't know. I have a real hard time on that lake on Kenansville there when the wind comes up more than 15 to 20.
Yeah.
So it just muddies the whole lake up. The whole lake's only 3 to 4 feet deep.
Yeah.
So you get that wind, it turns
it's impossible to navigate. It's impossible. Yeah. I mean, you're going to be limited. There's no doubt about it. I mean, especially where the wind's coming from. I know exactly what that wind can do, and especially that type of wind coming. It's going to be very difficult, man. It's going to limit you tremendously to your areas. I don't think you're going to be able to hit the areas you hit last week.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be going to have to go out there and just see what happens.
That's it. If that wind, well, I mean, the wind's going to be blowing out southeast, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna be able to get out at least the channel, hopefully. You know what I mean? Jim, let's talk about you, man. Let's talk about your experience and what got you into fishing and what got you into kayak fishing, man. And tell everybody what you're fishing in. The floating dock.
I'm fishing. I'm fishing out of the Ultimate Kayak. All right. I have a customized Blue Sky.
Man, that thing's a party barge.
It is.
It is.
I have a customized Blue Sky. I've extended the front deck and the back deck. I'm running a Humminbird 12 and a Humminbird 9 and a Humminbird 360. So I have side imaging 360. I have a spot lock trolling motor. In fact, there was a guy here who just got out of kayak fishing, started boat fishing. He told me he's going to boat fish for 2 years to learn Texas lakes and get back into kayak fishing. And I said, well, when you get back, come see me. You need to test ride my rig. So it's a pretty nice fishing platform.
Hey, Blake Knight wants to know: are you going to hire Jason to be the captain of your charter boat?
I've fished 2 people out of my kayak before, so it's doable. Okay, it's not that bad.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh my gosh!
That's why I got into kayak fishing. So I was a boat guy. I started fishing in '81 when I was in college. A buddy of mine was a diehard bass fisherman. We'd go to school, go to class, haul butt to the lake, and go fish till dark, and then go back and do homework.
Right.
I've just got addicted. I've always been addicted to bass fishing.
Yeah.
About 7 years ago, they had all the droughts in Texas. All the lakes were down to half level. You couldn't get a boat in the lake.
Wow.
So I needed to buy a kayak so I could get on the lake. And so I actually built my first kayak. My older brother and I welded one out of aluminum.
Right.
My first kayak was aluminum. My second one I made myself out of plywood and fiberglass. I still have it in the backyard. And finally I broke down and bought one. But kayak fishing is addictive. In fact, the gentleman who was just here buying my electronics, he goes, the boat guys don't believe me. He goes, but now when I'm fishing boat tournaments, he goes, I'll be honest with you. I caught bigger bags out of my kayak. He goes, and the boat guys won't believe me. No,
they'll refuse to admit that because, they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on this stuff and they just can't get to the fact that, they
and think about this.
They can get outfished by the kayak.
The only way to assure, I would say if you're going to say, I got a damn good chance of winning this tournament, you got to catch a 100-inch limit.
Right.
100 inches of bass is a 25-pound stringer. How often in a boat does a boat guy ever catch a 25-pound stringer?
Not much.
Nope. They're lucky to catch it once in their life.
Right. You're right.
I mean, last year, literally, I lost track of how many days I broke 100 inches.
Wow.
And so, how do you go back to a boat? I got a boat. I got a 2-year-old boat in the garage. I almost never use it because
Right.
I'm a better fisherman out of a kayak.
So you just got done talking about, the electronics and everything on your kayak. Has that's more, I have to say, that's more of a controversial thing, I guess, nowadays with all the electronics and all the boats, and even professional fishermen are starting to talk about how that could be very controversial in terms of, you lose your focus as a feeling of a fisherman and using nature to basically help you fish. And then you're looking kind of down at your electronics the entire time. What's your thoughts on the new technology? Which has it really helped you and developed you into a way better fisherman than you ever were?
Oh, absolutely. So my thoughts are, Greg, for my whole life, like I said, I've been fishing since 81. I've always thought if I could see the bottom of the lake, if I understood the contours, what the bottom of the lake was shaped like, I could start understanding bass behavior and why they want to be in certain areas, and then how to go find that same condition somewhere else on the lake. With current day electronics, I can see the bottom of the lake.
Mm-hmm.
I understand what the contours look like. I understand what brush or stumps they want to be on. I now can start developing a visual understanding, and I can relate that and apply that not only in other places on the same lake, but on different lakes.
Right. So, like kayaks, see, to me, kayaks are made to be in skinny water sometimes. There's other lakes out there that, that are going to be like your Kentucky lakes, and you're fishing Kentucky Lake and stuff like that in June and stuff like that. But like you have kayaks in Florida, for instance, like Jason is, having that kind of technology, I don't know if it's going to do much good in Florida, because it won't do much good, because these guys are fishing 3-foot sand bowls.
Yep.
So look what I just got myself. See if I can let you see this. Look, there's my skinny water kayak.
Did you?
Yeah.
I thought she was going to show us the new 32-inch.
No.
I'm not even lying to y'all. Y'all make all the jokes you want. When Jim's not watching the bottom of the lake on his electronics, he's watching ESPN. If he feels like he's got a high enough advantage over his opponent, he's sitting there playing Call of Duty on the widescreen. Okay, like this guy's got it going on in this rig up.
Oh, no doubt. Hey, Jason, Robert Brown wants to know, is Conrad Benetti pretty in person as he is in his pictures?
Definitely not. That's all filtered.
This just in, Conrad the catfish.
Oh my God, I was dying, man. We went to Kissimmee, man, and I got, we went out to dinner and stuff, man. That was so freaking fun, man. Watching him be like, literally, he was like a Hollywood star. Everybody wanted to see it, and then people were like walking up to him like, "Oh, it's Conrad." It's like they didn't expect. They didn't expect him being that small. They thought
I thought
he
you'd be
was
a lot
like
bigger.
this big dude, and it's like you have to get down on one knee to shake his hand.
Dang.
It's like, man,
Dang.
Christine Fisher roasted him, man. It was hilarious, but dude, Conrad held his own, man. He was just busting tail. I was laughing so hard, man. Listen, Conrad comes off as this like complete jerk online, man. But dude, he is one of the funniest guys you'll ever meet, man. And
the short people got a whole lot of built-up tension.
he's fantastic. When you get to meet him in person, man, there's no other better person, man. He is hilarious and just a great dude, man. Great dude.
So, Jason, tell us a little bit about your rig up, because I don't know a whole lot about what you got going on, but being one of the KBBT judges and seeing people's boats, your setup is like, if Jim's on the right, your setup is way left, and what you've been doing has been working. So, man, tell me what you got going on. Tell the fans, tell everybody, because we're on two separate states, two separate sides of the countries, two completely different fishing platforms.
Basically, I'm just running a 13.5-foot feel-free lure, no electronics, got a net from 1975.
Isn't that the last time the Cowboys won the Super Bowl?
I don't know. And I just a couple weeks ago, I just put a 55-pound thrust trolling motor on it for the first time. Until then, I've been paddling and pedaling.
So, Jason, let me ask you a question if Mark doesn't mind. So, what's your opinion on a net? Because I am adamantly opposed to using a net.
Please talk some sense into this man. I know he's from the old stubborn ages, but like talk some sense.
Jim,
into this
preach it,
fella.
son. Listen, you know how much crap I've
Golly.
taken online? Dude, you know how much crap I've taken online about not using the net?
Greg, if I have to watch one more broadcast where you say, please don't shake off, please don't get a hook in my hand, please don't shake off, please don't get a
See,
hook in my hand.
me and Jim are old school, man. I mean, I listen, I could go on and on about why I don't use nets, but
Jim boat flips 23 inches. You are not the same.
no, I handheld 24 inches.
Okay.
That's what I do. I don't boat flip them. They're too heavy. They're too heavy.
Jim
I
boat
was
flips
never into the
23
nets
inches
on the
on a
kayaks.
medium action rod.
So, Greg, just so you know, so when I was fishing one of the KBB tournaments, your buddy over there from East Texas said, "Am I mistaken, or did you just almost boat flip a 20-inch fish?" And I went, "Yep, I almost did."
That's right.
But seriously, Jason, go ahead and tell them your opinion on the net so somebody can talk some sense into these guys.
I never brought a net out on the kayak until
Yes.
I never had one until basically the team tournament that you guys put on last year.
Right.
The first round, I was fishing. We had to downsize the baits. I was fishing small jerk baits with smaller trebles, and I had two 24-inch fish shake it off when I was trying to reach for them. The next day, I found that net that you saw that you made fun of sitting in my garage and said, I have it. Why not bring it?
Yeah.
So
my grandpa was catching shiners in Germany in 1942 with that thing.
Well, Danny again goes, "Why would you not use a net?" I've said this over and over and over personally. I've used a net at one time, but I have lost. More fish with a net than I have not. Now, to one in each his own. But I'm telling you, listen, you go back to some of these videos, these kayakers, these so-called professional kayaker fishermen, when they're using nets, man. It's the most sloppy, ugly, dirtiest landing of fish I've ever seen in my entire life. They've got their pole way up here. They've got a 12-foot long net over here, and they're doing this all through. And then the fish is jumping everywhere, and they're trying to basically have the fish jump in the net, and then coming up, and they're like, "Oh, this is fantastic!" I'm telling you, I've knocked off jigs. I've knocked off whatever bait I'm using. Trying to catch this freaking fish, and and again, I guess it's just living on the Potomac River too. The Potomac River bass will fight you to the very end. They literally will jump all over the place. They'll fling you and go underneath your yak. They're the most hardest fighting fish I've seen everywhere in the country. They're just made to fight because they're fighting current. They're like smallmouths. They just fight constantly. And to me, it's just easier. Tire them out a little bit, grab them, and then go.
Yeah, that's all good and all. But I'm tired him out, and I still lost him at the kayak. And I used to never use a net, and I recently started. I don't have the issues that you're talking about, but I don't know. I don't always use a net. It depends on the fish, but I will.
Derek says nets are for co-anglers.
All I'm gonna say, the amount of fish that I've had spit the hook in the net made up for all the mistakes I could have ever had with a net. You know what? I do have a long-handled net, and I am thankful that I stick my rod 15 feet high in the air and scoop that thing up 7 foot away from me. So you say what you want, that's 7 feet. I didn't have to fight that fish.
I just recently extended my handle on my net for that reason.
My God.
I got a
I mean,
small little net.
to one is each his own, man. I mean, it's like, I mean, some people fish with left-handed reels, some people fish with right-handed reels. It's all what you ever feel comfortable with. To me, it's a 50-50 game. I mean, you can lose just as many fish netting a fish than you can not. I mean, people can argue with me on that, but look, man, a fish is going to get off, it's going to get off,
I'm this close to getting a 20-foot handle pull net. I mean, I'm right there. I just haven't figured out how to mount it.
Since technology is increasing with kayaks, why don't we just hit a button and then a cast net just comes over and flings it over, and
Now,
then
see,
you can
if
grab
you
it
can
and go.
somehow get that legalized, I'm all in. I'll leave the rods at home.
Go gadget net.
As a matter of fact, I went and bought that Diablo kayak last night. Derek pointed it out to me on the internet, and the guy had a bunch of accessories. And so, yeah, he says, pick whatever you want. $700 for this kayak. I got a good paddle. I said, you see that net? I don't want the net. He had a damn nice net, Mark. You'd have liked it. I said, you keep your net.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Well, Jim, what's the reason why you don't use a net?
So, I'm an advocate of I use medium action rods, and when I get a big fish, I back off on my drag and let them pull drag. And I'm an advocate. If you watch the pros, they lose fish all the time because they bring what I call a hot fish to the boat. They got strong line, heavy line, and they crank like crap, and they bring a fish that's still fighting too hard to the boat. What I try to do is let that fish, just like the tuna guy, start making circles. Just let him turn sideways. Let him pull sideways against your line. He's not going to pull the hook if he's sideways. And just let him make circles around your kayak until he tires out. And when you bring him to the boat, normally they just lay over.
Yeah.
Okay. If I lose a fish, it's probably a 12-inch fish. And you know what? I'm not going to put a 12-inch fish on my measuring board anyway, unless maybe I'm in a KBB tournament and I'm trying to get 5. But other than that, you know what? And I even told Lisa in the tournament, I caught a 12.5-inch fish. And I said, if I need this fish at the end of the day, I'm going to lose.
Right.
Right. And so if I lose a 12.5-inch fish, I'm not going to be upset. If I lose the big fish, I'm going to be upset. But I can't tell you that I lost a big fish last year at the kayak. I lost some, but I lost them 20, 30 yards out. I lost some this year, 20, 30 yards out, but not at the boat.
Right. Strong.
I'm gonna need 3 more Coronas if we're gonna keep talking about nets.
Then what? Okay, so let me ask you this. So I can't understand the physics about this. I don't know how or why. How is it that you have a bait, let's say a crankbait, it's full of treble hooks? Okay, the thing swims through the water. You hook a fish with a crankbait. Okay, it's got 2 treble hooks on it, six separate hooks. Why is it that freaking fish constantly throws the freaking crankbait? I mean, it just doesn't hook up well. What's the issue, man?
I don't think you could appreciate how fast that fish's head is moving from side to side and how much inertia he could generate. I mean, that fish is moving very, very fast from side to side, and the weight of the lure, more often than not, is what is unhooking. Is just unhooking itself just by the weight of the lure pulling on the hook.
I don't know about Greg, but I graduated from Arkansas and I couldn't even spell half those words, so we're good.
So here's what I hear. Here's what I hear about Frank Scalish had brought this up about a week ago. This question was asked about crankbaits and spooks and things like that in nature. Why come there's such a low hookup ratio? And he said this: it's because you're moving your bait too fast. He said if you're moving your bait so fast like that, he goes, your hookup ratio is going to be significantly less. And if you start slowing down your bait, even maybe throwing a reel that's like a 6.1 or a 5.8 on a bait caster, because your hookup ratio is exponentially better.
Well, and another thing, Greg, think about this, and I've had a lot of trouble with this in the past when I did paddle my kayak, is a lot of times when you're paddling a kayak, you're casting in the front of yourself. So when you set the hook, what you end up doing is accelerating the kayak. A kayak doesn't have very much resistance in the water. So you end up pulling the kayak towards the fish just as much as you pull the fish towards you. And now you're having to pick up not only the slack of the fish, but you got to pick up the slack of the kayak moving towards the fish.
That's true.
So one
That's a lot true.
advantage I have, and all the guys have that have spot lock, is, in fact, I always do this. If I'm fishing a swim bait and I get a fish hitting my lure on a swim bait, before I set the hook, I reach down and hit the spot lock button on my remote, and then I set the hook. Because with spot lock, the trolling motor will turn around and fight the fish. But there's a big disadvantage when you're paddling a kayak in your quality of hook set.
Right.
It's something you just have to live with.
Yeah. Some great things here. Derek Miller says, a rod's a big factor. Obviously, line stretch is a big factor.
Yeah.
The weight and leverage of the fish is a big factor. All those things do factor in. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I don't know, crankbait rods, a lot of them want that real flexible, parabolic, high bend rod. And the reason why they want that is because they want to get that crankbait as far out as they can. And, that rod can launch a crankbait, but you lose leverage when you're trying to hook those things up on a crankbait.
You're absolutely correct. And another thing you didn't mention, Greg, is, and I don't know what Jason feels about this, I like his opinion, but don't let the fish jump. Do everything you can.
Keep your rod down.
Fish from jumping.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's too many people who, when they fight a fish, they got their rod tip high in the air.
Yep.
And when I lose a fish with that, I turn around and go, my fault. I lost.
Yep.
My fault. My bad. I lost that fish. He didn't beat me out. I gave it to him.
Yep. Making simple mistakes like that. I mean, you're right, man. I mean, that's all part of fishing. It's all, you learn. Jason, man, what's your thoughts, man? I mean, you're Florida, you're fishing Florida, man. And, how are you guys like in your season now, right? We've heard a lot of people pre-fishing for the national championship. Both of you guys are in the national championship, and you guys are kind of at a crossroads. Both of you guys are kind of in a crossroads. Most of you guys are in post-spawn, and you've got some situations to where, your weather's changing, the bass are moving. Either they're going to go deep or they're going to go shallow. Relatively deep was for Jason. But talk about April, man, and can it be one of the best months, or is it a month that it's usually a struggle?
Honestly, down here, for me, April is the start of the best fishing that I see. April, May, June, July, the hot months when most people hate, is when I tend to do the best down here. I don't know what it is, but after that spawn, I never do good during spawn.
Right.
After the spawn, I tend to do better with the bigger girls.
Right. Jim, talk about what's going on in Texas. What's going on in Texas fishing right now is historic. I mean, absolutely historic. There's never been a recorded time to where more lunkers have been caught ever, after this big deep freeze and everything else. What's going on down there, man?
So two things I think, Greg, are contributing to that. One is live, right? I mean, the Garmin and Lowrance live unit, so people can see fish that they couldn't see before.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing is the big ice wave. It delayed the spawn. As a matter of fact, the lakes 2 hours south of me and 2 hours north of me pretty much have the same water surface temperature. So where bass would normally spawn in waves, they didn't. It postponed the first and maybe even a second wave of bass spawning, and it put them all at the same time. And then what it did is it gave you more time to catch those big females pre-spawn before they went on the beds. Because there's only I hate bed fishing. I suck at it.
Me neither. I'm not good. Yeah, I hate it.
Right? It gave
to me there's no skill. There's no skill of watching a fish on a bed and yanking it off the bed. That's not skill to me.
So it gave more time for people to catch those big females pre-spawn.
Right.
But I'll be honest with you. So tomorrow, y'all need to know this, by the way. Tomorrow, I'm going to be on a lake that I don't have cell phone coverage. So
yeah, we're not going to be broadcasting.
The winds are going to force me off of my lake.
Yeah.
Good lake. I went to 2 other lakes yesterday and caught a total of 3 fish. And so I'm going to have to go to a fourth lake tomorrow and hope for the best. So this weather in Texas has just been terrible. I mean, it's been high winds out of the south and high winds out of the north. And you have very limited days where you can go and, the lake I want to fish, I went there Sunday, caught 20 bass. My biggest was 20 3/4, and I had one bigger wrap me up on a stump and pop my line. I had very high confidence in my ability to be very competitive or win tomorrow. And then the fronts were adjusted when they were going to hit, and tomorrow that lake's going to have 17-mile-an-hour winds, and I'm fishing the south of the lake and the winds out the north, which means they'll have 4-footers where I want to fish. So I can't go fishing that lake. I'm not going to trust bank my life on trying to win KBBT. So I'm going to have to go to another lake. It's going to be tough. It's been
Robert wants to know, why couldn't you have left your good lake when you faced him?
I was on that lake when I faced him.
Oh, there you go. There you go, Robert. He was on that face.
And I called Mark Crine, by the way, because I lost one. That was the day you caught your 24-inch bass.
Right.
I believe I dropped a 24-inch bass that day.
Wow.
It was huge. It jumped. I saw it 20 yards from the bank. And right after that, I caught a 20 1/2 and a 20 3/4. And that big one made those two fish look small.
Wow. Incredible. Marcus, I'm going to let you take this one over here, man. But, because your experience going through all the way to the championship, guys, let's talk about, one of you is we crown a champion tomorrow. And Marcus, talk about the grind, man. And I want you guys to talk about this grind and this kind of tournament format, just because we're actually having a lot of new people watch, and they're asking what this tournament's about, what's the bracket about, and all that stuff, guys. Marcus, talk about your experience, and then I want you guys to talk about your experience about the championship, or coming to the championship, and then what to expect tomorrow.
And so the biggest thing that you've seen in almost every single one of the championship runs is it's like right here at the end, whether it's Final Four, whether it's championship, is the pressure always gets to one person or the other, and pressure plays a huge role. We see it time in, time out. That's the most important thing. It gets bad enough on Friday. It gets even worse when you check the weather conditions for the Saturday, and you're paying attention on like freaking Tuesday when you shouldn't even be looking at the weather anyway. And then it gets closer, and then you get on the water, and your bite's not there first thing in the morning, or your first fish jumps off the board, or whatever it may be. Pressure is the overall decision maker. And my biggest advice to both of you as you get out there and on championship Saturday is just to make sure that you do everything you can and just go out and relax. I'm not going to say have fun, because people that says, well, I just went out and have fun, they're not the people at the end of the day cashing checks. So let's be honest about it. Go out there, do your thing, let the pressure roll off your back. Everybody makes mistakes. Live by them, get over them, keep moving, keep fishing. On top of that, man, it's a grind, and it's the hardest 10 hours that I've ever fished. When I was there, there wasn't a second that I felt safe. There wasn't a second that I quit early. I think I got my fish submitted with like 3 minutes left to go. And I mean, it's whoo, boy, your heart is thumping when that thing says failure to connect to internet, and there's 7 minutes left to get them submitted. Guys, at the end of the day, the broadcast isn't important. Nothing on this side of the screen is important. What's important is that you guys go out there, you remember who's got your back, you remember who's got your shoulders, and you just go out there and do your thing. You're both here for a reason. Honestly, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, whichever one of y'all pulls it out tomorrow, like, shed real tears, okay? It's worth it. It is the greatest broadcast you have ever witnessed ever in history. It's the best time. It's something you never forget. I mean, when I won mine, I rolled into town, and Greg will back me up in this. I drove 3.5 hours home, pulling into the block, and there was a block party for a straight mile. Everybody in the neighborhood,
It's crazy.
They had the fire trucks up. I mean, they had banners. I still got the banner over in the corner. Everybody in the neighborhood signed it. They were blaring "All I Do Is Win." I mean, everybody pays attention to this thing, and I cannot think of two better contestants to have in front of us for tomorrow's episode than you guys. Jason, I'm not going to lie to you, dude. I had no faith you were making it this championship, and made me eat crow more than one time in this bracket. And when you came in and you throw up 90 inches, and I'm like, where did this dude come from? You know, I thought Caleb had a walk-on. No, sir. Here comes Denise throwing straight punches to the mouth. And, I mean, hey, all I got to say is congratulations to both you guys. You made it here. And as far as everybody watching, I know I love listening to myself talk, and I'm sure everybody else loves listening to me talk. But what I want to hear is I want y'all's individual. Tell us about your experience. What is this, week 5 now? Week 4? Something like that? You fished every single day. You both have had bad days in your opinions and good days in your opinions. But at the end of the day, you both, swept to the house. And Jason, let's start with you, dude. Tell us about your experience from week 1 to where you're at here. We'll get Jim's opinions, and then we're going to jump straight into our broadcaster picks this evening, and we're going to do it right in front of your faces. Pressure's on us while we're waiting on y'all, while we're taking our time to decide when we hear your story. But Jason, let her rip, buddy.
Well, the first 2 weeks, I honestly don't know how I made it through the first 2 days.
We don't either.
It was pure luck. Between the car breaking down, not getting to the water till late the second day, horrible weather, not putting up my limit. I didn't think I was making it past the first weekend. Second weekend, weather wasn't much better, but I was able to figure it out a little more. One day I had 40 fish, couldn't get the big fish, but still 40 fish. That's a huge confidence booster right there after a shit weekend the weekend before.
Right.
And then it just started to fall into place.
Right on.
So,
Jim. Oh, go ahead, Greg. Sorry, my bad.
No, go ahead, Jim. Go ahead. I'm gonna give you some stats here. After Jim speaks.
So I call KBBT running the gauntlet.
Yes,
right?
it is.
You have to fish against some very good people. And not only do you have to fish against some very good people, you have to assume that some of these people may even have a career day on you. And so there's no safe day in KBBT. In fact, when Derek first told me he was going to fish KBBT, I said, dude, that's crazy. I go, you're running the gauntlet. You can't run the gauntlet and not get beat up. And then when I got into KFL, I go, well, I guess I got to fish KBBT. And here I am. I ran the damn gauntlet. How do you do that shit, man? Sorry. I mean, it's really been an amazing experience.
Good. Yeah. We have a blast covering it. We have a blast doing it, man. We have a blast being in it. It's just it's addicting. It's like crack, man. You got to be in it, man. It's just...
Hey, Greg, before you were starting giving those stats, if you have the average stats, save those. Don't use those just yet.
Okay. Well, guys, let's go ahead and get our picks in.
Well, hold on. I got something to say before we do start the picks. Okay, we're going straight back 99 WWF Royal Rumble mode in this here. I've already got it all typed up, so we're just gonna rock it out. In this corner, from Keller, Texas, averaging at 93.15 inches. He's older than most of y'all's daddies. He's fishing out of the Titanic of kayaks. He's tore up from the floor up over big mouth bass, and he is your MVP for the first Lone Star Bandits match, Jim Levere. And his opponent in this corner from Jensen Beach, Florida, averaging 72.06 inches, started fishing for mackerel on the rigs. He looks like two Conrad Bonetti standing on each other's shoulders. He single-handedly took out the top fisherman of the South Texas rocking chairs. This dude is aiming to bring the third championship trophy to Florida. Jason Denise.
That's good stuff, dude. Dude, we're going to bring this up. This has never been a more statistically basically separated matchup in all of KBBT history. In terms of championships. So you literally have a David versus Goliath matchup here. Jim Levere, you have absolutely wiped the field out with over 93 inches in terms of total fish per round. Outstanding. It leads the bracket by far. Jason Denise, you are at 72 inches. It is literally David versus Goliath. Jason, you are certainly the underdog in this, but as we've seen time and time again, anybody can beat anybody on any given day in any condition. And dude, it's Florida. It's Texas versus Florida. Anything can happen. So
who's your pick?
Well, that's all being said. Lisa, we're going to start with you.
Oh,
Miss
Okay.
Texas.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, you make the pick.
Okay. Jason, I thought Caleb was going to sweep the floor with you. I really did. There was a lot of circumstances that went into that matchup, and you fished great. And I haven't followed you a whole lot, but I went back and looked at some of your previous tournaments and things, and you do a really good job. With that being said, I am a Texan, born and raised. Go against Texas. So, Jim, and you are an amazing fisherman. I mean, I love watching you. If you weren't on the Lone Star Bandits, I would cheer for you like no other. But
So your pick is Marcus Coates?
absolutely not. He doesn't
Dun,
Lone
dun,
Star
dun.
I would not ever do that. But Jim,
Oh, hey, you ain't got to lie on camera.
I want to say last week when I did the live broadcast, Jim, I really appreciate all the information that you shared with me and everybody else.
Yeah.
That was amazing information that is just completely invaluable.
Solid.
So I am going Jim all the way.
Okay, Marcus.
I'm going to quote a scripture from the Mark Coates Church of Country. He brought down angels from the promised land. He gave them a place where they could dance. If you want to see heaven, brother, here's your chance. I've been sent to spread the message. God bless Texas. Jim Levere.
I've been to Texas and I've been to Florida. I grew up in Florida as a kid, and I love Texas. But I like me and Marcus was talking about the Lone Star State. The Lone Star is a symbol of freedom, but to me, the Lone Star is a Yelp rating. Florida, you absolutely will slap Texas in its mouth. Jason Denise, the big dog, coming out of Kenansville, will beat Jim Levere.
Now, when you told me that joke to try it out, I didn't think you were going to use it against my guy.
Come on, Jason. David wins. David beats Goliath.
I can't believe you even said that, Greg. That is just hurtful.
I got nothing.
Oh, man. Hey, listen, I grew up in Florida as a kid. What can I say? You know what I mean? I love
just wanna-
Texas.
I
love
just wanna
Texas.
point this out. This dude drove like 37 hours, 4 days, 16 nights, made a pass across
I love
the
it. I
desert
love Texas. I'm
And
just
he-
playing. I love
just
Texas.
to make sure that he qualified for his own championship.
Listen.
And he did that in the state of Texas.
Listen, to be honest with you, I drove all that way because you guys would not stop basically bothering me about fishing fork. and my kids and wife are like, we're going to Texas. So but listen, I love Texas. I'm not
They
gonna
were
lie.
smart.
I love Texas. I think it's a fabulous place. Thank you, Texas, for the freedom that you guys are being able to experience. It was great, man. You guys are amazing. What are you holding your arms up in the air for?
Freedom!
You're Arkansas. You don't know what Texas is. You just fish in Texas. You're an Arkansanian.
Excuse me, sir. I have a personal residence in the house of Blake Knight that I'm now paying taxes on. Hashtag Texas.
Oh man, but listen, this is gonna be fun. Listen. The only reason why, honest to God, I picked it, Jason, is because I know what Kenansville can do, and I know exactly what it can do. Now the winds bother me on both you guys, but it's gonna be so close, guys. It's going to be so close. So anyway, guys, y'all be safe out there. listen, if it gets just too crazy, please let us know. Just get off the freaking water. Don't be Mr. Macho Man out there. Be safe. You guys you guys are the captain of your own vessel, but it ain't worth your life going out there and being stupid. You know what I mean? But we are really, really going to have a good time.
Identifier is FVT.
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 Yep. Florida versus Texas. So,
and guys, just so you guys know out there, unless somebody does message, hey, I've got service, let's go ahead and do this thing. Both these guys are fishing bad service areas. We probably won't have a broadcast first thing in the morning unless one of these guys gets to the water and decides, oh, I do have service, and then we're going to scramble to get someone on a computer. But just don't be super surprised. You will see some of us broadcasters popping in and out of the day to give you guys updates, but don't be expecting a broadcast in the morning unless something happens to where one of these guys we can get them on.
We'll post the leaderboard. We'll post updates and things how things go. I've got some KFL things going on tomorrow morning too. We're going to be doing some KFL interviews and all that good stuff. So we're gonna have fun. And then I'm going to go fishing. So
we got to hurry up. We're already like 5 minutes past Jim's bedtime. So
y'all be safe. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Y'all be safe and good luck, guys. Have a good time. Throw some slabs. I want to see 2 over 100 inches tomorrow. Be great.
Sounds good.
KBBT, we out.
Good luck, guys. Be safe.